Hey guys, Silver Fox here for an officiating analysis for a match from the Worlds in 2013 Absolute Division between Rodolfo Vieira and Marcus Almeida. When these two guys get together, it's always exciting. But the year prior was considered one of the greatest matches of all time, and I'm looking forward to reviewing that in the future. This match in particular was a more dominant performance by Buchecha. He ends up winning by a substantial margin, certainly not like the year prior. In this particular match, although it's not completely straightforward, let's put it that way, regarding some of the scoring. There are some intricacies here worth talking about, so I figured it would be a great opportunity to really review and understand a little bit better from an officiating perspective what exactly is going on and why it was scored the way it was. Of course, this is the IBJJF, so we're going to be using the Federation's rules here. Because this is a finals match, there's a 3-referee system, which basically means while the center ref really has control, he has 2 additional refs in the corner watching him that can actually overrule him, either by something he missed or if he makes a call and they want to overrule it. Either way, it's a great triple check, if you will, from an officiating standpoint. So with that, let's get started with slap of the hands. So Buchecha typically comes out pretty aggressive, and this is no exception. He's gonna take a shot here at Rodolfo's legs. I'm not sure that he's in a great position to actually sneak a double leg on Rodolfo, but he was trying to close the distance for sure. And after they tie up, he does pull full guard, and Rodolfo immediately stands with him in full guard. And at this point, the ref moves him to the center. Obviously, you want to give these guys as much room as possible. It's amazing with a ring of that size how quickly they can end up out of bounds. So Buchecha starts going for a sweep. He tries to turn over into a knee bar, and then sure enough uses it to sweep, comes on top, is able to control for a 3 count and then some, and obviously remains on top. Receives 2 points for a sweep. It's 2-0 Buchecha. So Vieira starts working from the bottom here. Both guys have a pretty strong hold on each other. You'll see Buchecha has a very strong grip of the gi pant of Rodolfo's left leg. In response, Rodolfo grabs a very strong grip of Buchecha's right leg, and they kind of stalemate at the moment. Both very legal grips, as long as the fingers aren't inside. Everything's copacetic. Referee making sure, getting kind of a peek over the shoulder there to make sure that everything's copacetic and legal. And the minute that they kind of neutralize that position and show that they've stabilized, takes the opportunity to drag him into the center again to give him as much room as possible. I will note there that these guys are both well over 200 pounds, so dragging them across the mat is no easy feat. And a lot of times you'll see the referee solicit the corner refs to help drag or hope that the competitors themselves will help make themselves light and scoot themselves rather than having to drag their full weight. Ref decides to tie the belt rather than having them do a full tie and stop the action, and just gets out of the way in time as stuff starts getting quite dynamic. Rodolfo spins under, gets the X-guard he likes to play. Got a very firm grip, looking to pass Buchecha's leg over his head and go for the back. Buchecha with some pretty incredible base, and interestingly enough is able to kick out and end up in a reverse mount. Now this is certainly not what Rodolfo had planned, and at first glance it looks like Vieira's had his guard passed by Buchecha, and the ref actually looks to both corners to say, hey, has he passed the guard? But the reverse mount is not a valid guard passing position, so Buchecha recognizes he's got to stabilize in a recognized position and is looking now to go from that reverse mount to just a traditional side mount. And Rodolfo is doing everything in his power to make sure that doesn't happen. You can see him pushing and pushing. And you can see that despite his best efforts, Buchecha stays below his belt line on his hips and is unable to score or stabilize for an actual guard pass. So as Buchecha recovers guard there, ultimately Buchecha, that advantage point we see on the scoreboard is for that near pass, and rather than having to drag them back in the ring, they seem to mutually agree that they'll move themselves back in the middle and recreate the position. The ref takes the time now to tell them both to recompose their uniforms. You get about 20 seconds roughly to do that. A lot of times referees will eyeball their watch here to put a little pressure on the competitors, but not really needed here. These guys are pretty anxious, I'm sure, to get back into it. Signals to start. This was kind of an interesting camera angle that somebody took from the crowd that I liked, because we can actually see one of the corner refs and the head ref very well. Oftentimes, some of the televised versions are so focused on the competitors, you really don't see what the referees are doing until they step into frame of the competitors. But this, we've got a wide enough view. We see two refs almost the whole match. Now here, Buchecha looks like he was in a position to be swept, and instead forward rolls, goes to a leg drag position, and then ultimately goes for Rodolfo's back and gets it. I mean, fairly unbelievable, and doesn't just go for it, but he actually right there secures two hooks in, and no arguments from the corner refs about the 4 points for the back mount there. So at this point the score is 6-0 for Buchecha, 2 points for that initial sweep, 4 points for the back mount. Now what I don't think was visible, it certainly wasn't visible from the referee, but I think what also happened there was that was kind of off of a Rodolfo sweep attempt. So he knocked him over, and that forward roll that that Buchecha did intentionally actually put him on the bottom for an instant. And although it seemed like a scramble and no real control, I believe they gave Rodolfo an advantage for a near sweep there. And the reason I say I believe is because I can't find another instance that they would have given him the second advantage. Ultimately, we'll see an advantage coming up. So I'm suspecting that that's where that was. Doing a little maintenance on the uniforms, just due diligence for referee, making sure that everybody's got fair opportunity to do grips. If you can do maintenance along the way, it also helps that you don't have to stop the guys and do a whole formal, rebelt and so forth. It can be kind of disruptive to the match to continue to keep doing that. It happens a lot, I think, in the Federation, all this belt tying, and it makes the matches go much longer. It gives guys rest periods, so keeping that to a minimum, I think, is an advantage for the spectator, at least. So here's Buchecha still riding hard with the hooks in the back mount, and crazy as it seems, Rodolfo's able to stand up with Buchecha on his back, and is slowly but surely trying to work Buchecha off. Now Buchecha's looking for something. He's grabbing the pant there. He's looking for something where he wants to slide off. Not sure if he's looking for bow and arrow kind of setup. He doesn't really have an arm around the collar, but ultimately he decides to bail and just recompose guard. And Rodolfo immediately goes for a pass, and there's very clearly a all fours position or turtle position from Buchecha, which earns Rodolfo his second advantage. Now what's interesting about this position is it's not a guard, so we know that Buchecha cannot sweep from this position, not being in a guard, even if he was to roll through and end up on top. We also know that Buchecha cannot pass the guard, even if he was to turn Buchecha over and end up in an enviable position like side mount. So it's really a neutral position at this point. You can certainly improve your position and put yourself in a more enviable position to enable a score, but you just can't do any of those things, a sweep or a pass at this point. And, Buchecha does just that. He kind of rolls through and and kicks his legs, and he manages to get on top. But as you see, there's no indication of any kind of sweep or anything being signaled by the referees. They're acknowledging, obviously, that it was a turtle position, and you just can't do that. So we've got Buchecha again on top, looking to pass. Rodolfo looking for a good handle, mixing it up between Spider De La Riva. Tries to dump him over De La Riva. Reverse De La Riva. Referee recognizing the belt's untied just says, let me just completely get it out of the mix. He'll wait for an opportunity to have them retie that should it present itself as a neutral position. Rodolfo tries to sweep there, but as you see, although Buchecha falls to his back, Rodolfo doesn't come up. I guess that's a spot that could also have been the advantage, the second advantage for Rodolfo, but if the guy does not come up, even though he knocks his opponent down, I don't consider that advantage worthy. So again, not completely clear without the referee's signal in there where that second one came from. So Rodolfo secured the lapel underneath. He's mixing up different leg positioning, going back again to his X-guard. And although it seems like he's in a great position to come up on a single, he doesn't. And instead, Buchecha manages to step over, and he ends up right in like an S-mount position, which is fairly incredible in itself. But the thing that's interesting about it is it doesn't appear to be a position that is a mount scorer, and although he's got a kind of an armbar setup from here, it's a weird side mount, but he is controlling from the top. I consider it a mount, but he's very high on the shoulders, so I guess you can't score a mount from there, but you can certainly say he's controlling a pass. So as the match comes to a close, he was working an armbar, and there it is. The crowd erupts for Buchecha, able to repeat absolute champion. Great sportsmanship demonstrated by these two guys. They really seem to genuinely like each other. Incredible matches when they were together, and ultimately there's a score, like I said, kind of definitely a different kind of match than the year prior. 9-0. One advantage to 2 for Buchecha. So formality here, just finalizing, raising of the hands, tying the belt that last time before the hand raise, get a little announcement going. Last match invariably of the day. And there's your winner, Buchecha. So I hope you enjoyed this match analysis between Rodolfo and Buchecha. Again, what's interesting about watching these kinds of matches is, it's one thing to watch what the referees do, see them clearly on the video, and just call it out as they called it out. I'm really trying to identify the scores as I see them. Hopefully that matches up almost perfectly with what the referees do. That'd be a double check for me as well as for the referees, that we're in sync about our understanding of the rules. In this case, for instance, I couldn't identify correctly one of the advantages for Rodolfo. I saw 2 possible places that it could be. To be perfectly honest, I don't think either spot that I identified them possibly giving the advantage was advantage worthy. So fortunately in this particular match it was irrelevant. It didn't have any impact at all, but you can imagine that if it was a tie score and it literally went to advantages, that how important or how significant that particular advantage would have been. So sometimes that happens. In any event, I hope you enjoyed this installment and look forward to doing additional matches in the future. Thanks.